What up?
Yo.
All right, it's Tuesday. Yes, it was a holiday, so a little weird week. But let's recap. So we didn't talk on Friday. We didn't do a video on Friday, but you did work that day. Do you remember what you did?
I created like a plane and I drove it, but it was like a Flappy Bird thing where he has to go through the holes. I made that. That was pretty crazy.
Side 2D side view or top down?
It's 2D side view, but it was 3D. You know what I'm saying? It was like,
Nice.
Yeah.
So you press a button and it goes up.
Yeah, A or
and
W and
automatically
S.
drops.
W and S. That's all you need.
S. So you would actually go down if you want. Not
Yeah.
so
Oh, I
it's
switched it
automatic.
around. I played with it. Any button, like one of these could work. You know, any.
So what did that teach you that you didn't already know? Like what was new in that tutorial?
I'm blank on the name. I have to control the speed through the. I had to the game object, the plane. I had to do more stuff with it than the last one with the car, but I keep blanking on it. Yeah.
So did you have to add any new components or scripts or?
More scripts in it. Like I had to follow with the camera instead of from behind it. I had to go from the side, so I had to import do new stuff with the camera.
Okay, so some kind of different camera
Yeah.
setup. That's cool. All right, and then what else? Saturday we took off, and then Sunday. When did we do the live stream? It was Monday, right?
Yeah.
Saturday, Sunday we took off. No, it was Sunday we did the live stream because Monday we took off.
Something like that.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. It's on the channel. It should be in the playlist as well. We did a few hours. You know, we were going to do all day, but I think that's a good start. We got a late start, but it was good. And what do you remember from that session? I know I did a lot of the keyboard stuff, but we'll do more 50-50 next time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe eventually you'll be running it, and then I'll be like the backup, right? But any thoughts on all the stuff we covered there?
Well, there's so many more words that are there's like a whole dictionary of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought that was crazy.
Throwing a lot of terms at you, right?
Very much a lot of terms, yes.
We had a good chat in the car on Monday after another round of disc golf. We talked about object-oriented programming a bit and the design for the game, like how we're gonna handle tracking your historic positions. So if you haven't seen, the game it's a time travel game, and one player can be duplicated in the same room depending on what time they're visiting and if they've been there before. And so we talked about how we'd use collections for that. Buckets I called them, right? And the different ways we could do it. So we're going to actually show that the next time we pair, the next live stream. And so that should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to see some coding. Remember I told you about the Boy Scout rule. What's the Boy Scout rule again?
Oh, when you go somewhere, you always clean it up. Something like that.
Leave the campground better than you found it. So we did some very small improvements to the code as we went, but it also gave us a good reason to poke around the code and see how everything works currently. Like remember we were messing with the animator and how it maps both
so much
strafing
stuff
and
in there.
moving forward, right?
Yeah.
And it blends them, has a blend tree.
That was
Very
a lot.
complicated.
There was so much in there.
Yeah, so the animation stuff's all new to me. I did that in a previous stream. You can check that on the channel as well under the Pseudo Paradox playlist. But yeah, I did that with someone else that I hired, and they walked me through that since that's fairly new to me. But I gave you an out. We played around with how it actually works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw that the particular model that we're using, it always just turns the camera or turns its body to walk forward, so it never actually strafes. But still, we use two variables to track and movements, and you saw how complex the animation rig was. Like every joint has its own little point on the rig, right? That gets animated depending on how you're running or walking. Anyways, so we just dipped a toe in the animator just to see how that works.
Mm-hmm.
But then we looked at the code and we did a quick fix for the animation. Do you remember when you stop walking, he's still animating as if he's walking, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So do you remember how we fixed that?
I was there for that. That was crazy.
So remember the animator has a parameter called forward on
Oh, yeah.
it.
Forward.
And we're setting that as you start to move, but we're never, when you stop moving, we don't ever unset it. So when you stop moving, we set it back to 0, and then the default animation of just like idling takes over.
Yeah.
Right. We implemented a couple features. So check out the stream. It's long. It gets better as we go because I'm pretty rusty, right? But we added a clock. So right now it's just text with the hour, the minute, the second.
I thought that was gonna take forever, but
Right?
it wasn't that hard. I mean, it's hard, but like for me. But I
Once
thought it was gonna take like 5 hours.
Once we got into it, started making more sense. Took me a bit to remember some things with Visual Studio, but yeah, I think we did some good features. We also implemented a trigger. We ended up experimenting with both a collider. No, I think we didn't do the collider. We talked about it, but we ended up doing a trigger. It is a collider, but marked as a trigger, and then did the on trigger. We originally did the on trigger enter lifecycle event, but discovered that had some oddities, like if you ran into it too fast or something. So we changed it to another event. Do you remember what event we ended up using? I think it was like on trigger stay or something like that, where it's like when you stay inside the trigger for a frame or something, then it triggers the event. And so the event in our case is to move you back to your starting position in the room and change the clock. So that's what the game's going to be. You're going to go through a door, and it's going to take you to a different time. We're going to play around with if it's a random time or some puzzle sequence of times. We don't know yet, right? But we're just trying to get the main features implemented real fast so we can play around with the gameplay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were able to get that, so it moved the position and changed the clock. And so the clock itself, we ended up using Text Mesh Pro, which is
TMP.
It's like a fancy way of doing text in Unity. Instead of the old ugly text that they used to have, they now have meshes that you can change the styling of the text. We're just displaying basic text, but it displays on a canvas that you post on the screen, basically like a UI, and you could rotate it on any axis, but we're just treating it as like the top layer of the game, right?
Yes.
So we dipped our toes in UI. I don't know if any of your tutorials have done that yet, but
I don't think so. Not yet.
yeah. So it was pretty good stream. Check it out. Skip the first hour if you want. It gets better.
Yeah.
But yeah, the book you're reading, right? It's a short book. You'll probably get through it this week. I think you read another chapter Friday, maybe, and then today you read, or maybe you didn't read Friday, maybe you just read today, I don't know. But tell me, recap what you read.
Got you. So, let's say about what a
Stream Programming Explained.
What a team needs.
Team needs?
Yeah, so like, let's see, where did it say? There's 4 values that like a team needs, like respect, courage, and like where else? They need feedback, and it needs, like, they have to have simplicity in their work, and yeah, stuff like that. I just wrote down what I thought was nice.
Nice. The big one there for me is, I don't know what they mean by simplicity necessarily.
So simplicity is the most intensely intellectual of the XP values.
Yeah, I think what that's saying is it's simple does not mean easy. Simple, it actually is hard to get to simple. So remember when I was talking about refactoring the code? It's where you change the code design but don't change its behavior. So it has the same features but it looks different. It's more manageable. It's a better design. We talked a bit about design patterns as well in the car, but we're just barely scratching the surface there. But simple designs actually you get to over time. You iterate on them. So you start with a really ugly, complex, not necessarily super complex. I try to like do small features. We were picking off really small features, but they may be hacky or ugly at first, and then you refactor them. So in the stream, one of the refactors we did was we had this concept of hours, minutes, and seconds, which everyone's like, okay, whatever, that's just time. But really, in coding or in our code, the date time is a date and it's a time that has millisecond. It's like overly complex. But what really we wanted was a simple hour, minute, seconds. But we didn't want to keep passing those three attributes, so we just put it in our own little data class. It's just those three things, right? We encapsulated it in something that we called a time container, something dumb name. Naming is hard, but basically then now you only have to pass that one thing, and you don't have to worry about the complexity of date time. So that's an example of taking something complex and making it more simple. But it didn't start simple. We had to make it simple. Yeah. The other one that really stood out to me was feedback. So part of this dojo is getting rapid feedback. I'm giving you feedback on, we're talking and we're learning, and I believe in rapid feedback is the best way to learn, right? Same thing when you're developing software. Your customer or a product person that works for the company that's in place of the customer, they're speaking for the customer, they're going to give you feedback. And so would you build for 40 hours a week and then publish what you built and ask for feedback? You could. Some people do that. Yeah. Some people go months without asking for feedback. But instead, what I try to do is get feedback every day, or as you're working, get feedback. So if you're building something and you're not quite sure if you're building the right thing, do experiments. Try implementing it one way, and then releasing it and getting feedback from your customer, or demoing it, right? Showing the product and being like, do you like it when the plane goes down automatically, or would you prefer that I have to press S to move it down, or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. You can guess, and you can make a huge design doc that says, oh, the plane behaves this way. But when you play it, you get feedback, and you're like, you actually feel what is the right way to do it. So, so feedback's really important, and it's at all levels of software development. You know, when creating the design, when actually implementing it, when testing it, when deploying it, feedback's like the main goal there, right?
Yeah. And then it says what matters most in a team software development is communication. That's like what they all are about.
Yeah. Every team I've ever worked on, they'll usually do some kind of retrospective where the team will get together once a week or whatever and talk about what things can be improved. And every single team has brought up communication as either something that is going really well or needs improvement. It's just like this catch-all for team dynamics. And I think that's just how it is when you're working with different people. Everybody has different styles. Some people over-communicate. Some people just want to be left alone in a dark room to build whatever they're going to build, and then at the end deliver it. I don't like working that way personally, but you'll have to work with some people that do that, and so you have to find a way that you can bridge that gap and communicate better. But I'm hoping to instill in you, over communication practices. It's better to over communicate. I think better product comes out of that, and even the team will be better for it, I think. Cool. All right, so we'll finish up with this book hopefully this week or so. I still got to find that other one that it gets more into the coding stuff, and I think that will help bridge some of the gaps between what you're seeing in the code and the stuff I've been talking about. Yeah. So we'll find that other book, but this is a good one because it starts you off with the principles of software development as like a whole, like working with a team, and not just the technical side of it, but starting with the basics of things like communication and feedback, right?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I think I droned on long enough. Any final words for the audience?
Mm-hmm. I'm learning a lot about organization. It's important. That's all I gotta say.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll start demoing some of your work too. In these, we got our setup much better today. I think we have a green screen as well. We're playing around with. We might bring in so we can blend into the background. You'll see that next time maybe. But all right. Till then, peace.
Toodles.